He plays a mean guitar. After midnight he performs on a tree branch stage. He is brave. He is outrageous. He is Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. He will steal your heart and eat all your pecans. He loves cuddling in his fleece when bedtime comes calling. Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel, the cutest rockin' squirrel in the universe. VHS attacks in your living room. Creepy little gremlins oozing slime in your VCR. Stacks of films to frighten and entertain, hiding in your closet and duplicating on your shelves. It's time to watch. It's time to be scared. Don't look behind you. It's a mess back there. It's a VHS overload. Don't look behind you. It's a mess back there. It's a VHS overload.
Hey, gang, and welcome to another VHS Overload. And here in a little bit, we're going to be talking about Fave horror VHS covers from 1987. And I'm going to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way as usual. And then we're going to get to these 19 horror VHS covers from 1987 that I really, really like the looks of. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about each one of them. Okay. Sorry if I sound kind of, like hoarse and all of that. I got really sleepy a little bit earlier and took a little nap. So I haven't come out of the sleep haze all the way, but I had to do something because I was literally almost falling asleep as I was trying to get these images ready for the stream. So hopefully I got enough caffeine that I can, stay awake during this. Maybe. Oh. But let's go ahead and get the housekeeping stuff out of the way, and then we'll get to talking about these VHS covers. So I've got still more programming coming up for the rest of the week. Tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, will be another horror movie rewind. We're going to be talking about all the goofs and the trivia that I can dig up on The Beast Within. Thursday night, hopefully starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, will be They're All Messed Up. And we'll be talking about the psychopath and screen bloody murder and all the kills in both of those films because, yeah, that's what we talk about with They're All Messed Up. We've got Evil Dead Chick's Hideous Halloween Slumber Party coming up October the 10th. And we're going to be hopefully collectively watching Halloween, the original Halloween from 1978, Halloween 2, And yeah, you guessed it, Halloween 3 with the irresistible Tom Atkins getting all the women and fighting a madman who has these masks that make kids' heads implode, and snakes and spiders and other creepy crawlies come out of the kids' heads. Okay, so we've got all that. There's a Evil Dead Chick Slasher Fest coming up. More watch alongs. I've got a watch along poll up right now on the channel. And you can vote right now for body horror. And these are 3 by the king of body horror, in my opinion, Mr. David Cronenberg. Videodrome is still in the lead, but The Fly from 1986 is catching up. And Shivers is in 3rd place at 21%. So if you want to have some say-so over what the watch-along choice is going to be for Saturday, October 4th, please get in there and vote now. I have hey, Gory Tiger, I have some Halloween prize packs. I'm going to be doing a giveaway if I ever have anybody that wants to enter. From now until October 31st at 11:59 p.m., you can enter to win one of 3 Halloween prize packs of 5 movies each. They are not new movies, but they play great. They are all Blu-rays, no DVDs, no 4Ks, just Blu-rays. So, oh goodness, so if you want to enter, make sure you have the ability to be able to watch these. Now, if you're not too keen on the movies that you receive, and once you receive them, you want to trade them in for something that you like better, hey, who am I to say anything about this? So, how do you win? Well, this is for new subscribers only, this particular contest is. So, first of all, you have to subscribe, and you have to allow me to see that you have subscribed. And then once you subscribe, you put your channel handle or screen name. It's got to be the one that you subscribed under, okay? Because I know sometimes people have several different channels. And put that under the video I did announcing the Halloween horror pack giveaway, okay? So please, hopefully somebody will be interested enough in the movies to, one, want to subscribe, and hopefully they're interested in the content I'm putting out as well. And you really want to get yourself one of these Halloween prize packs. And I'm going to show the movies again, folks. I showed them on another stream or video that I did recently. But I thought that you guys and gals might want to see what the movies were that you would be getting. Now, you can't pick your prize pack. I'm just going to be putting all the names of the people that subscribe and enter into a hat or a plastic pumpkin or whatever. And come November 1st, I'm going to do an actual live stream showing myself drawing out 3 different names. Okay? So, the first prize pack has Night of the Creeps, Night of the Demons 2, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and Sorority House Massacre. The second prize pack has Halloween 2, has a lot of Halloween movies in it. Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Demons 2, and the Toolbox Murders. And the final prize pack has Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, 1970s Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Mother's Day, play Misty for me. And this is actually, one movie, but it's got two movies on there. You get When a Stranger Calls and Happy Birthday to Me. This is one of those 2-packs, but they are on one disc. Okay. So, share with your friends and family members that you think, might, number one, enjoy the content that I'm putting out. If you want to get a starter pack of some, fairly decent horror movies, this will be the way to do that. All right. So, what's some other ways that you can support me and the channel and it won't cost you a dime? Okay. Right now, if you're a new subscriber, you can get a chance to win one of these cool Halloween prize packs. But you can also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content I'm putting out. You can hit the like button on anything you particularly enjoy. If you really, really liked everything, hey, hit the like button on everything. And share with friends and family members you think might enjoy the content I'm putting out. Share my channel name, and I'll do you a solid and put the channel name in the chat here. All right. And you can still continue to give super chats and super stickers. Those do cost. You can join the channel. You can join my Patreon. And you can head on over to deadeyesondeck.com, my horror shop. Tell them Poe sent you. And check out all the cool designs I've got over there. And if you're not a horror fan, or maybe you are a horror fan and you're like, gee, Dana, I looked at all your designs and I didn't really find one I want. But how about this? You can fill out the handy dandy form on the homepage of the shop site. And you can let me know what it is you so desire. Okay. Also, if you yourself have a business, a side business, and you want some t-shirts and hats and tote bags and mouse pads and all that with a logo on it, and you've got an idea of a logo that you want, or you have a friend or family member you'd like to get some logos put on, multiple shirts and hats and tote bags and mouse pads and what have you. I will offer you a discount for multiple items. If you say, hey, Dana, I want to do like 20 of these to start with, I will give you a discount on those. And I have a flat rate of $6 shipping, whether you buy one item or 10 or 15 or 25 or whatever. Okay. How many places do that? Not too many that I know of. Also, I have blended teas and I have scented candles and I have booga booga bears and pyro plushies. So get on over to deadeyesondeck.com and check out everything over there. And again, you put the site, the URL for the shop. If you can remember the name of my channel, which is Deadites on Deck, you can surely remember deadeyesondeck.com for my horror shop. And folks, I'm so sorry. I keep yawning. Let me step away for just a second. Hopefully I won't lose anybody. And I'm going to get something with some sugar in it. Hopefully I'll quit this crazy yawning, but I'll be right back. All right, now let's go ahead and get started with these movies, shall we? So, as usual, StreamYard will only let me put 10 images up here. I have a total of 19 movies total that we're going to each talk about, each in turn, briefly. So I was only able to put 10 of them on here to start. So I will have to take a moment and get some of these off here and put the last few on there towards the end of this. All right. So here we go. We're going to start with the first one, which is Dolls. They walk, they talk, they kill. I know some people are really freaked out by dolls in general. So they may not think that this this cover art is cool. But I love that the doll's holding its own eyes and its hands. It has a regular looking mouth, but to the side, it's like a skull mouth. You've got the hollow eyes. I mean, that whole image was definitely something that when I saw it at the video rental store, that it was one of those that screamed, rent me, because it's simple. You have at the forefront, you have the main image of the doll, and then you have this blue glowing background right behind the doll, and then it's just solid black. But I don't think you need a lot for this, right? For it to work, for it to make you want to at least pick it up and flip it over and see what the movie is about. I mean, it's obvious it's about dolls, but you may want to see other things about the plot of Dolls. So that is Dolls. We're gonna actually remove that one so we can remove some of these so we can add some more later. All right. And as I've said before about these VHS covers, I think back in the day, VHS covers were an art form. I don't think they are so much. Movie posters, I mean, right now that they're not. Movie posters and VHS covers, album covers, all of those things were an art form, in my opinion. And I think we really had some talented artists that did these things. And, they weren't, I'm not putting down digital stuff because I use a lot of digital stuff myself. And, who am I to say, people are wrong for using digital? They're not wrong. They're just using the tools that are available now. But because of these digital tools, I've noticed even stuff that I have done, there's an artificial element to it. So that when I go back and I look at these old VHS covers, if I look at old movie posters or old album covers, particularly rock album covers, because they were the most expressive and most creative, I think. I see something that we will probably never get back, right? All right. So back to these VHS covers. So the next one is Blood Diner. And again, this one is not really elaborate. We have the tagline, first they greet you, then they eat you. But then you have the old fashioned diner sign that says Blood Diner. You have a hand with a knife going up over the sign. And then in the background, you have the actual diner. There's a creepy looking tree and a moon and the sky behind it. Again, not a lot really to work with, but you don't need a lot. I mean, this kind of says it all. And again, I don't know why I never rented it. I did not watch this movie until, a little bit before me and Steve got married. And I was like, I remember seeing this in the video rental stores, but I don't know why I never picked it up, because it does have that elaborate cover. And there's also another cover that has somebody that looks like they work in a diner, but they're kind of weird looking. And I assume it's supposed to represent one of the Namtup brothers in the film Blood Diner. Sorry for eating on here, folks, but I had to do something to get myself to quit yawning. Um, so again, more kind of simple covers, but they say a lot without having a lot of elements. And you can have too many elements in a piece of artwork. And yeah, I consider these artwork. If they're too busy, it takes away from your focal point, which in this case, I think the focal point needs to be the Blood Diner sign with the hand with the knife with blood on it. That needs to be your focal point, right? If you have too many other elements drawing people's eyes away, this is going to take away from the focal point. So I think that these, in particular, a lot of these VHS covers I'm showing on VHS Overload really encompass the type of stuff that will grab your attention when you're perusing, especially when you're perusing the shelves at a video store, right? Because one thing is, after you start looking at stuff for so long, everything starts to run together. So you need this stuff that kind of jumps out at you and screams, rent me, rent me, rent me, almost like a neon sign. Now I'm getting hot back here, folks. I'm so sorry. I'm getting old, folks, and as most women will tell you, the older they get, they start having hot flashes and stuff like that. And I think that's, what I'm going through. At 49 years old, I'm starting to really start to feel my age and feel that stuff that goes along with it. All right, so there is Blood Diner. Now, this is one of my favorites from my video rental days, and still never fails to bring a chuckle to my throat whenever I see this, whenever I think about it, and that's Return to Horror High. So there's something about a skeleton with a wig on and a cheerleader outfit that just draws my attention to it. Cheerleader camp is another one that kind of does this kind of scenario. And you also have the little spiel: killer to the left, killer to the right, stand up, sit down, fright, fright, fright. And again, this is simple. You have a white background, but the red in the skeleton cheerleader's costume really stands out. The red in horror and high really pop on this white background. A black background would have worked too, but I think the white background is really great for this particular one. Now, for those of you that have seen Return to Horror High, you know that it's not a pure horror movie. It's more of a horror comedy, right? But the other thing about it that I think kind of makes this kind of unique, especially at the time that it came out, was there is no Horror High movie. This is not a sequel to anything. This is just what it's called, Return to Horror High. And I remember the first time I saw this in a video rental store, I did think, well, okay, is this a sequel? Is there a Horror High? No, there's not. But if you watch the movie, you find out that supposedly years before, at the same school where a filmmaking team is making a horror film about something that happened at this high school years before. And that's why it's called Return to Horror High. But I love the way this is set up. I don't always like humor with my horror, but in this case, it's very well done. And I have a lot of fun every time I watch Return to Horror High. But it is this artwork that always, caught my eye in the video rental stores. And the first time I rented it, it was purely based on this image alone. I didn't even have to read anything more about it to know that I wanted to rent it, right? Okay. So that's Return to Horror High. The next one is sort of a horror comedy too, and it's a nostalgia piece because a lot of us watched it as kids. I did not. This was one that I don't know why. I believe that I remember seeing this one in the video stores, but I never rented it. And that is Monster Squad. Um, Call them for a monster of a good time. And I think one of the reasons why this one resonated with so many people was it was kind of like Goonies meets the Universal Monsters, because you've got kids trying to protect themselves and their neighborhood, their community from these monsters. Okay. Um, and you've got, great lines like a wolf man's got nards and stuff like that. And this was pure 80s adrenaline junkie kid friendly stuff. Okay. Now, does it mean they didn't curse from time to time? No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about a squeaky clean, but it is something that the family could watch together. Again, I'm not sure why my family didn't watch it together, why I didn't watch it until, just several years ago. I finally watched it because I kept hearing people talk about Monster Squad, including my buddies over at Dead Pit. Were talking about this movie, The Monster Squad. Now, let's talk a little bit about the cover. You've got the kids, these young kids sitting on a car. The monsters are in the background. You've got that bright yellow lettering with the red outline, the red highlight that says the Monster Squad. Again, the cartoonish aspect of how the kids look in this is fantastic. We can replicate that a little bit now with the different tools that are out there, but there's nothing like the original of stuff like this. This is another one that screams rent me. Like I said, it's relatively kid and family friendly, so it's something you could sit down with your parents and watch. And there's a lot of nostalgia attached to it, right? Especially those of us that are nostalgic for the 80s. This is pure 80s horror comedy fun and kid fun. So this is a very effective VHS cover to get someone to rent it and or buy it in the succeeding days when the price of a VHS would go down in price and you were able to actually buy them. And as VCRs became more and more popular, people, started building up their VHS collections, right? All right. So that is Monster Squad. All right. So the next one is Slumber Party Massacre 2. Now, this is crazy good fun as far as a movie. Is it a very well made movie? Not really. Some of the acting is a little exaggerated and stuff like that. But what a cool ass cover this has. You have Slumber Party in a script font with Massacre in bright red font. And when you have the 2 symbol there, the Roman numeral for 2, it has a drill bit coming down between that Roman numeral for 2. Now, you have the typical girls dressed for their slumber party, but the driller killer in this case is a rocker who died and got inhabited by the soul of the driller killer. So he has a badass guitar with a drill bit on the end. I just think that image is fantastic. And then you've got the foggy background that's surrounding the dead rocker there and the girls looking kind of scared. And then you have the tagline, "The party begins when the lights go out." So this was definitely one I remember renting. I remember seeing at the video rental stores. And back in the day, anything that had to do with slumber parties and massacres, I was game for it, right? Okay. Again, not a very elaborate cover, but it doesn't need to be. It's got all the elements that really draw your attention to a focal point, which the focal point is the girls with the driller killer behind them with his phallic guitar drill, right? Okay. So there's Slumber Party Massacre 2. So the next one, this is one that I have talked about on a previous episode of Celluloid Trash as far as the contents of the movie. But this was another one that the cover screamed rent me. And I know that based on the cover, I ended up renting it. Okay. And that is for The Curse with Will Wheaton on it. You've got that ominous tagline that says it takes your body and your mind, then it takes you straight to hell. And you've got the hand coming up out of the ground, holding the house and crushing the house. It's just absolutely fantastic. You've got the lightning in the background. You've got Will Wheaton's face there, kind of with a shadow on it and a kind of like a bluish, purplish cast to it. You have The Curse, the title, in red. So this one is another one that it's got the main elements. It's not too complicated. It's not too busy, but it says everything that it needs to say with those couple of images and that title, The Curse, in red. And those lightning bolts. That's a little bit of an added bonus to the VHS cover itself. Again, this is one I remember seeing at my local video rental stores, and that photo alone on the front of it got me to rent it. All right, so that is The Curse. The next one, this was another one that I saw in the video rental stores around town when I was a lot younger. And that is American Gothic. With everybody remembers that painting, American Gothic, right? Well, this kind of turns things on its ear because you got Ma and Paul, and Ma has a knife with blood on it. Where the heck did that come from? Paul has a pitchfork with some blood on it. And if you look real closely at the house in the background behind Ma and Paul, there's a window like in the upstairs of the attic portion of this house, and there are young people screaming, like they're trapped, right? And it has that rather ominous tagline, "The family that slays together stays together." This is a really, offbeat, off-kilter film, but I love it. I absolutely love watching this. And I do remember watching this one as a kid. And again, that image, coupled with the bright red lettering on the title, American Gothic, was enough to make me rent it. It's like, say no more, I'm going to rent this. just based on that image and the title alone. Okay, so that is American Gothic. So the next one is Creepshow 2. Stephen King and George Romero welcome you to Creepshow 2. When the curtain goes up, the terror begins, and we have the creep there from Creepshow, from the first Creepshow, and once again he's in a movie theater, and I just love the way this is set up because when I see these, I was never, made uneasy or made to feel scared, but I knew I was going to have a hell of a good time when I watched these Creepshow movies, especially, Creepshow and Creepshow 2, which George Romero and Stephen King both had something to do with both of those. But you've got the Creepshow 2 and that creepy font with the red outline. You have the creep sitting in the movie theater. You have people, you're really just seeing their backs, but some of them look a little worse for wear, like they might be dead, like they might be zombies or something. And for those of you that had seen Creepshow by the time Creepshow 2 came out, you knew, oh, George Romero, Stephen King. Oh yeah, I'm definitely not going to miss this one. And I like too that this one kind of has a yellow out around the picture, because I think for some reason that makes the picture in the middle pop really good. And I got a little side story to tell about this, which really has nothing to do with the VHS cover. But back in 1987, when this film came out, my mom and dad, this was one of the last, it may have been the last movie they saw at a drive-in. I remember them clearly saying, yeah, we're going to go see Creepshow 2. Now, I'm guessing the reason my brother and I weren't invited along was maybe they thought my brother would be scared by it. But they used to take me to a lot of drive-in movies when I was a kid, but they didn't take me to this one. Me and my brother stayed with my aunt and uncle. I didn't watch this till many moons later on VHS for the first time, right? But I think they wanted to have, the equivalent of a date night, and they just wanted it to be just them to go out, which I understand that, that my parents deserve that. And so that's my little story about Creepshow 2 and a little bit about the VHS cover. All right. So this is one I believe that my dad rented. And I'm sure he looked at the VHS cover on it when he got ready to rent it. And that's Slaughterhouse, because I clearly remember my dad talking about this. He was talking about Buddy, who's the guy there with the big meat cleaver. And it says, Buddy has an axe to grind. And you have this great, big, hulking guy with a very dangerous instrument of death there, standing in front of, what's similar to those pictures that you saw, Leatherface, way back in 1974 for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, standing in front of a door that leads to a slaughterhouse. Then you have Slaughterhouse in bright red lettering across the lower half of Buddy's body. I mean, I remembered even after my family had watched this, seeing the VHS in the video store, and it's like, there's no way my family's not going to watch this one. I just remember Dad talking about it a lot, and it's one of those that's still ingrained in my memory even after all these years. Now, some of you guys and gals, like I said, I'm showing a lot of old photographs of some of these VHS covers. And you may say, well, Dana, some of these look like shit. Well, they didn't look like shit, though, back in the day. These are, are old. 87 was a long time ago, folks. Or 88 or 89 when these VHS would actually have come out. All right. So there is Slaughterhouse. And you guys and gals probably knew I was going to have to include this one because I am the Evil Dead chick. And I watched this one before the original one. And this is the cover that caught my eye. This cover actually caught my eye more than the original cover. And that is Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. Even Roger Ebert gave it, looks like 3 stars. You had the skull with the human looking eyeballs in there. That really caught my eye. Just a stark black background. The title Evil Dead 2 in red. And then below that in yellow, Kiss Your Nerves Goodbye. Again, how could you resist something like this? There's no way that I could. So, again, this is kind of a simple cover. You don't need a lot. You don't need a lot cluttering up your space here. Everything is positioned properly, leaving some space around the skull so the skull really pops out at you. The title really pops out at you. Very, very well composed. And I'm the Evil Dead chick. So I'm going to gravitate toward these movies no matter what happens. So that's Evil Dead 2. All right. So bear with me, folks. I'm going to put the rest of these images on here. And they're going to pop up briefly. I'm sorry. I wish it wouldn't do that, but, unfortunately it does. So, hopefully this won't ruin y'all's enjoyment of it while I add these. I wish that maybe they will in the future. StreamYard will make it where you can put more images on here to start. Because one thing I can say about myself, I'm not one that'll just put a few images up here and call it good, right? I hate to take, I hate to take time out of this stream to do this, but it's, the only way that I can think to do this. And we'll cover these last few here in just a little bit. Excuse me. Just got a few more to put up here. Got 3 more to put up here, folks. One more. All right, folks, let's talk about these last few here. So the next one I want to talk about is the Video Dead I've always loved, again, the Video Dead is not a very good movie, and this is not one that I remember renting. But that image is absolutely fantastic. This is a Embassy Home Entertainment release. So you have the video in blue lettering, but then you have Dead in bright red lettering with jagged yellow outline around it. Like it almost looks like static on your TV. And then you have this very ominous looking creature busting out of a television, and the tagline, "Look what's living inside your television." So you let me know, folks. Would you not rent this based on this image if this was something that you saw in the video rental store? I know that if I had seen it in the video rental store, I would have definitely rented it. But this one, again, was another one that I didn't watch until many moons later after I was an adult. Maybe Steve and I was married before I watched this one. But that is another kick-ass cover. The movie is good. It's fun. Not a very well-made movie. But that cover alone is enough to seal the deal, I think, for anybody. And that's the Video Dead. All right, so the next one, some people may disagree with me on this one for the Stepfather. They may not think that this is a great cover. A lot of these that I'm showing tonight were actually put out by Embassy Home Entertainment. This one is no exception. But this is for the Stepfather. We have Jill Schoenling's character looking very happy with her little dog there. But then we have a very ominous shadow with a knife hovering in the background with the also very ominous tagline, "The all-American family he'd kill for it." And then you've got that reddish purplish background, as well as kind of like a smoky white that's around the shadow of the Stepfather. Again, this is a simple image, but it says a whole lot without really coming out and screaming at you, folks. This was one I rented back in the day, or my parents rented. I'm sure my dad probably rented it. And if I'm remembering correctly, it was one that we sat down as a family and watched, in particular, me and my mom. And it was one we always loved. Of course, my mom loved the remake too, but I didn't. I always go back to the original with Terry O'Quinn. And I talked about this on one of the other streams here in the, last few days. I talked about, the plot of the movie and stuff like that. But if you disagree with me, that's fine. But this is still one that, I have quite a bit of nostalgia for too. It takes me back to a simpler time when I didn't have to worry about a lot of stuff. And so, that's another reason why I think we gravitate towards certain movies and certain covers, because it reminds us of a time when, we didn't have a lot of worry or didn't have any worry at all. And we were just having fun watching movies like The Stepfather and some of these other movies that I'm talking about tonight. So that is The Stepfather. The next one is, in my opinion, classic horror. Hey, X-Ray, you say I've actually never seen the first two movies, but saw part 3 a bunch of times in the 90s. Yeah, and sometimes, like I was talking about Evil Dead 2. I watched Evil Dead 2 before I watched The Evil Dead. And I think probably part of the reason why Evil Dead was probably hovering around there, but Evil Dead 2 just, sort of jumped out at me. Hellraiser is a movie that I cannot look at a cover like that with Pinhead, with the, the box, that if you solve the puzzle box, the Cenobites and Pinhead come and they take you to hell, basically, right? And you have that very ominous tagline in red, he'll tear your soul apart. You have the title Hellraiser in the bright red lettering, and you have the very ominous looking Pinhead who is surrounded by implements of torture. And if you mess with this dude, you're going straight to hell, folks. And this probably was a little bit more of a brutal movie for my young eyes to see at the time. I wasn't like young, but I was still a kid. And again, my parents were always very good parents, but they would let me watch something like Hellraiser, if I wanted to. And I've told this story before, but I think it, since we're getting close to Halloween, ever closer to Halloween, I think it warrants another, telling. That back before I saw Hellraiser for the first time, the night before, we used to have this channel 44 back home, where they would show a movie at night, and then they'd show it the next day at noon. Okay. So they showed Halloween 2, because it was getting close to Halloween, and I was chomping at the bit. I wanted to watch it. Well, we hadn't even gotten past the daggone credits where you go inside the pumpkin while the credits are rolling, and it turns into a skeleton mashup with Michael Myers' mask. My brother was terrified by that. Yeah, granted, he was young, but he starts screaming his head off. And Mom said, Dana, we're going to have to turn this off, because, he was having a literal meltdown. Okay. Fast forward to the next day, he sat down and watched this movie with me without a peep. Without a peep, folks. And then at noon that day, Halloween 2 came on again in broad daylight on Channel 44, and he sat there and watched it without complaint. Opening credits and all. I could have jerked a knot in his tail for doing that to me and prevent me from watching Halloween 2 the night before. And the fact that he would watch this movie without comment, without crying or anything. I mean, I didn't want him to be afraid, but it's like, why'd you act so foolish the night before when this thing was coming on? But I think, again, the cover for Hellraiser is a very masterful cover. It really works. Again, Pinhead is your main focal point, so you don't need a lot of other stuff to distract you. And I think whoever created this VHS cover really knew what they were doing in this case. They didn't make it too busy. They didn't have too many other things to draw your attention away from the focal point, which was Pinhead. All right, so that is Hellraiser. Now, this next one I'm going to show is kind of like a horror comedy as well. And it's directed by the guy that went on to do the Lord of the Rings series, folks. But before that, he was doing movies like this and Meet the Feebles and all of that. But there are actually 2 VHS covers for this. One where the alien in it is flipping people off. And then there's the other one where he's just going like this. So that's the version that I have for this stream. And this is Bad Taste. And again, not, too busy. You've got the alien with the gun at the forefront. You have a house that looks like it's exploding into outer space in the background. You have the moon in the background. You have Bad Taste in red and white text. you have this little incentive that says, we'll do for video what Rocky Horror did for midnight shows. And I think it does. I mean, this is a movie that I could see people watching in a friend's basement and getting together and having a hell of a good time while watching it. Okay. Um, it has been called this year's Reanimator when it came out. Um, and someone else said, I've never seen a movie that's so disgusting, it's great. And really, I mean, there are some scenes in this that if I talk about them, and I will, there is one communal vomiting and drinking a vomit scene. And I'm not trying to make people sick, but I was like, I almost couldn't believe what I was seeing, right? Because you have one of these alien creatures and you have a group that's trying to infiltrate these aliens and get rid of them. So the guy that they send in to infiltrate this group of aliens has to act like he's one of them. So one guy vomits in the bowl, and yeah, indeed, it does look like vomit. And they pass it around, and they're all drinking from this bowl. And so when it gets to this one guy, he's like, do I do this? Do I risk, blowing our cover? And then he just eagerly starts drinking this vomit. Now, there's not, that's basically the only vomit scene. Then we have another character, Derek, who at one point ends up falling off of a cliff in the film, spends the rest of the film trying to keep the top of his head, or maybe it's the back of his head. Yeah, I think it's the back of his head on. He ties things around his head. He does all kinds of things because if the little flap in the back of his head comes open, guess what? His brain falls out and he just goes like that. So people are probably thinking, Dana, what is this crazy ass movie you're talking about? But Bad Taste is still a lot of fun. So much fun. I haven't watched it in a while, but I don't think this was one I rented, but I definitely did remember seeing this cover. In fact, I remember seeing both the covers, the one like this and also the one where the alien is actually flipping the audience off, or the viewers of this cover. So Bad Taste is definitely one I can recommend as long as you have a strong stomach for the scenes such as the communal vomiting and drinking of said vomit scene. All right, so that is Bad Taste. The next one is one that I did not rent. The way that I came to know about the film Cassandra was through watching previews and trailers from a videotape for prom night. Cassandra was one of those trailers. And it was such a creepy ass trailer. And this is a creepy ass movie, in my opinion. I actually had a watch along, a Childhood Nightmares watch along for this a little while back. And if you want to hunt up the movie Cassandra, and if you didn't get to get in on that watch along, it is still up. Sans movie, you would have to find the movie on your own, but you could watch it, or you could watch it without the commentary or the watch along stuff. So we have this, just a single eyeball surrounded by fire. I love the way the text for Cassandra looks. It looks like it's almost like scratched and burnt in to the other image. It says a new look at terror. And it also says at the top, Cassandra can see the future. You may not want to. And, the video cover aside, the movie is fantastic. I think it's creepy and it works on a lot of levels. But this cover, truly, in its simplicity, it's still screams Rent Me if you were to see this in a video rental store back in the day. And it still doesn't need a lot of stuff cluttering it up. This works. It works perfectly. It tells you everything you need to know to get you to either rent or buy or seek this movie out. So that is Cassandra. We're down to the last four, folks. So the next one is Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, which Prom Night 2 has absolutely nothing to do with the events that happened in the first prom night. However, it does have to do with some events that happened in the 50s at Hamilton High, which was the same high school that was featured in the original prom night. Okay. But I love the way Mary Lou, in her prom gown and her prom queen crown, is crossing her hands over her chest like she's dead, like this locker, like this school locker is serving two purposes. It's a school locker and it's also her casket. And you've got flames around her because, yes, Mary Lou was burned, but she ain't quite ready to rest in peace, folks. She's got some scores to settle. So you've got the Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2 all in red. And again, there's not a lot to this to clutter things up. But again, I think that this image on here, coupled with the title in bright red, says everything that it needs to say about the movie that's housed within. And it's one that I've always enjoyed. I think it's creative. I think it's kind of, creepy. The way Mary Lou's hair is teased out a little bit. And she looks like she's about ready to jump out of that locker and kill your ass as well. So that's Prom Night 2, or Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2. The next one is one I did not see until I was an adult, till much later in life. I think, again, me and Steve were married when I saw Blood Frenzy. Now, Blood Frenzy is not a very well-made movie. I find it fun. I find it a fun little slasher movie. It's a little slow in parts, but I always like the image of the hand with the knife going into the Jack-in-the-Box character. Blood Frenzy isn't really bright and doesn't really pop, but I can forgive that because the image of someone holding the Jack-in-the-Box and then the other hand is taking the knife going into the Jack-in-the-Box character, I just think that represents so much and is creepy, mainly because a Jack-in-the-Box has to do with childhood, right? So you're probably thinking, okay, this child's toy is being stabbed with a knife by what appears to be an adult. So I want to find out what's going on here, right? So if you had seen this in the video rental stores, I think it would probably be enough to make you rent it. I know that if I ever had seen it, I would have definitely rented it. All right. So, folks, we got a couple more to talk about here. And this is a movie that I always thought was a little slow. I'm still not the hugest fan of it in the world, but this cover is absolutely fantastic for Bloody New Year because, again, you have the skeleton. He's got his party hat on. He's got one of the party horns. There's streamers going in the background and all of that. And that image just screams, Rent Me. And I believe that I did rent it. But honestly, folks, I've never really been impressed with the film itself. Now, some of you guys and gals may find it very interesting, right? But whoever did the cover art for this knew what they were doing. They knew how to get people to rent this. And, when people were able to buy it, when they became more affordable, it got people to buy it, I'm sure. But you've got bloody in bright red lettering. You've got New Year that kind of looks like kind of a New Year's Eve or New Year's font. You have the disco ball but behind the skeleton person who looks like they're ready to party. And I think it's not too busy. It's not overly busy. I think it has the right amount of components to it. And the most important thing is that it makes somebody want to rent it or buy it if they see it. So that is Bloody New Year. And the last one I want to show you guys and gals tonight is Blood Hook. I'm going to try to make this a little bigger. Sorry, this image isn't really crisp like I'd want it to be. But this is one that I don't think I rented. I remember seeing this image in the video rental store, but again, for whatever reason, I did not rent it. But this is a horror comedy. And how could you not guess that? By looking at the girl in her bikini, a giant hook is trying to hook her. She's screaming, and it looks like she's trying to run away, and water is splashing up around her. You've got Blood Hook, the title of the film, in bright red. And this just screams fun to me. It definitely screams fun. And this is a fun movie, in my opinion. A Blood Hook is, a laugh a minute. I don't think it's really going to scare anybody, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a movie that I would highly recommend. And again, the makers of or whoever they had designed this artwork really knew what they were doing. So again, not a really complicated VHS cover. It just has enough components to get your attention, folks. And they are arranged very, very well in this. All right. So that is all the VHS, horror VHS covers that were my faves from the year 1987. I want to thank Gory Tiger and X-Ray for being in here and hanging out with me in the chat. It's always good to have some interaction with folks in here. I also want to thank people that were in here, because I did see several people in here tonight that maybe didn't feel comfortable getting in the chat, but they were watching along with what good old Dana was talking about. And I also want to thank those of you that will watch this on the replay, because that helps as well. And I think it's time for me to call it a night. I think I'm starting to get my second win now, but yeah, I probably should call it a night. Be on the lookout for all the programming I've got upcoming. Hopefully I'll be able to get the full first episode of Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel up really soon. Hopefully I can get some more episodes of Spooky Dog Beats with Spooky Dog and Sebastian, meeting a lot of your favorite horror characters and horror actors and actresses upcoming. So be on the lookout for that. And Spooky Dog and Sebastian and Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel are both things that your kids and grandkids can safely watch. So not a lot of my stuff that I put out is safe for kid consumption, but those two particular things are. So be on the lookout for all of that upcoming. Get in on entering if you're a new subscriber for the 3 Halloween horror prize packs I'm going to be giving out if people enter. And how do you enter? Well, you got to subscribe first. You've got to let me see that you subscribe so you can hide your name, okay? And you've also got to put the channel handle or screen name that you enter the contest or you subscribed under, and you got to put that under the video. You got to comment under the video where I talk about the prize packs that I'm giving away, and let me know that you subscribed and this is the screen name or channel handle that you subscribed under. Okay. And with all that being said, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday night, folks. Get out there, blast some Aussie, and try your best to live the Aussie way. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, folks, don't stay stuck in the past. Move forward in the present, into the future, and never, ever give up on your dreams, folks. I love each and every one of you out there, and I'll see everybody next time.